What if the one person who was supposed to stand by you when you were at your most fragile simply walked away? What if the friend who had fought your corner through every crisis suddenly turned her back at the exact moment you needed her most? And what if the explosion of fury that followed came not from a stranger, but from the woman who has fought harder than anyone to become a proper mother figure in your life? That is exactly the storm brewing on Coronation Street right now, and it has left viewers reeling. Carla Connor Swain is set to erupt in a blistering confrontation after Lauren Bolton abandons a vulnerable Betsy Swain at her lowest ebb. The scenes unfolding next week cut straight to the heart of loyalty, trauma, and what it really means to care for someone when the road ahead looks long and frightening. Fans who have followed every twist of this family are already talking about it in hushed, emotional tones, because this is not just another street row. This is personal, raw, and deeply human. For those who may have stepped away from Weatherfield for a while, or who are just catching up with the latest chapters, it is worth taking a moment to understand how we reached this point. Betsy Swain, played with remarkable sensitivity by Sydney Martin, is the teenage daughter of Detective Lisa Swain. Over the past couple of years, she has slowly, sometimes reluctantly, opened her heart to Carla Connor, the sharp-tongued factory boss and former Rover's landlady brought to life so brilliantly by Allison King. Carla and Lisa's relationship has been one of the most talked-about pairings on the street. They married earlier this year, blending their lives under one roof at number 6, and Carla has worked hard to earn her place as Betsy's other mom. It has not always been smooth. Betsy has tested boundaries, pushed buttons, and made it clear that acceptance does not come easily. Yet through every storm, Carla has kept showing up. Lauren Bolton, portrayed by Kate Fitton, has been Betsy's closest friend and confidant through some of the darkest chapters of both their young lives. Lauren's own history is steeped in trauma. Raised in a toxic environment and later entangled with the manipulative and dangerous Joel Deering, she has seen firsthand what happens when young women are failed by the people who should protect them. That history has shaped the fierce, sometimes uncompromising way she loves the people closest to her. When Betsy needed someone after the chaos surrounding Joel, Lauren was there. Their friendship has always been intense, loyal, and occasionally volatile. Now that intensity is being put under the harshest spotlight yet. The story that has gripped the nation began only weeks ago when Betsy was found unconscious on the kitchen floor of the family home by Ryan Connor. The panic that followed was immediate and heartbreaking. An ambulance raced her to hospital while Lisa and Carla arrived white with fear. What doctors eventually confirmed shocked everyone. Betsy had suffered a stroke. At her age, the news felt almost impossible to process. Then came a second stroke and the medical explanation that left the family reeling. The strokes had been caused by damage to a neck artery after a temporary loss of circulation. In a moment of quiet, painful honesty, Betsy revealed that she and her boyfriend Dylan Wilson had been experimenting with consensual strangulation during sex. Both believed the pressure was minimal. Neither imagined the catastrophic consequences. The fallout was swift and emotional. Lisa, ever the protective mother and a detective by trade, reported the matter. Dylan found himself under suspicion and facing the full weight of family anger. Yet Betsy has been clear from the beginning. She does not want Dylan punished. In her eyes, there is no villain here, only two young people who made a dangerous mistake. She has said as much to her mothers and to her friends. That stance has put her on a collision course with the one person who has always insisted on fighting her battles, Lauren. Lauren cannot accept it. To her, what happened was not an accident that can simply be brushed aside. She has pushed Betsy to consider speaking to the police. She has told Dylan to stay away. She has framed the situation through the lens of her own past, where accountability was hard-won and justice felt like the only way to reclaim power. Betsy has pushed back. In recent episodes, the tension between them has been rising steadily. Lauren has been thrown out of Betsy's hospital room after one particularly charged conversation. Words have been exchanged that cannot easily be taken back. The friendship that once felt unbreakable is showing deep cracks. Next week, those cracks become a chasm. Betsy, now home and still navigating the life-changing effects of her strokes, confides in Ryan that she wants to speak to Dylan. She is nervous about how Lisa will react, but the need to talk is strong. Ryan helps arrange the meeting. When Lauren discovers that Dylan has been allowed near Betsy again, her anger flares. She vents to Brody Michaelis, insisting that Dylan must still be held accountable. The disagreement with Betsy escalates once more into a full-blown row. In the heat of the moment, Lauren storms out, leaving Betsy alone. What follows is the moment that has fans bracing themselves. Betsy, still struggling with the physical aftermath of her strokes, including difficulties with speech and movement, is unable to make it to the bathroom without help. An accident occurs. When Lauren returns, she finds Carla already there, comforting a tearful and humiliated Betsy. Carla's reaction is pure, protective fury. She rails at Lauren for walking out on a vulnerable young woman who could not manage the most basic needs on her own. The confrontation is set to be one of those classic Coronation Street moments where the gloves come off and every suppressed emotion comes flooding to the surface. Allison King has always excelled at these scenes. Carla's rage is never just noise. It carries the weight of everything she has invested in this family. She has fought for Betsy's trust. She has stood beside Lisa through crises that would have broken lesser relationships. To see Lauren, of all people, abandon Betsy at such a fragile moment feels like a betrayal of the protective circle Carla has tried so hard to build. Viewers who have watched Carla evolve from the sharp, often self-protective businesswoman of earlier years into a woman learning how to mother will feel every ounce of that fury. The following day brings a quieter, more painful beat. Betsy is low. When Lisa suggests getting some fresh air, she refuses. Lauren calls round ready to apologize for leaving. Whether Betsy can accept that apology, or whether the damage runs too deep, remains one of the open questions hanging over the coming episodes. Friendships forged in teenage intensity do not always survive the first real test of adult responsibility. This one is being tested to its limits. Around the edges of this central conflict, the wider fallout continues. Dylan is still carrying the weight of blame, and there are signs that someone on the street is prepared to take matters into their own hands. An attack leaves him unconscious in the precinct, and fingers are already pointing in several directions. Lauren, Brody, even Lisa herself sit among the possible suspects in the minds of many viewers. The question of who is responsible and whether the wrong person will be blamed adds another layer of tension to an already combustible week. Fan reaction across social media has been passionate and divided, as it so often is with stories that refuse easy answers. Some viewers have praised Lauren's protective instincts, recognizing that her response is shaped by the trauma she herself has endured. Others have criticized her for refusing to listen to Betsy's clearly stated wishes, arguing that true friendship means supporting someone even when you disagree with their choices. There has been particular discussion about the way Lauren appears to be projecting her own experiences with Joel onto a situation that is fundamentally different. Comments have ranged from deep empathy for both young women to frustration that the friendship is being strained at the exact moment Betsy needs steady support most. Television commentators have noted how carefully the production team has handled the medical and emotional realities of the stroke storyline. The decision to show the long, often undignified process of recovery, rather than a swift return to normal, has been widely welcomed. Betsy's aphasia and dysarthria are not brushed aside. The physical limitations, the embarrassment, the frustration of a young woman suddenly dependent on others for basic tasks are all given space. In that context, Lauren's decision to walk out lands with particular force. It is not merely a spat between friends. It is a failure to meet someone in their vulnerability. Looking ahead, this development could reshape several key relationships on the street. For Carla and Betsy, the confrontation may ultimately deepen their bond. Carla's fierce defense of her stepdaughter could be the moment Betsy fully accepts that she has a second mother who will fight for her without hesitation. For Lisa, watching her wife and her daughter's best friend clash over care of Betsy may force new conversations about boundaries and trust. And for Lauren herself, the fallout could prove a turning point. If she is able to recognize the harm caused by projecting her own pain onto Betsy's situation, there may still be a path back to friendship. If not, the distance between them may become permanent, leaving both young women navigating their next chapters without the ally they once relied upon. There is also the larger question of how Weatherfield's younger generation continues to process trauma, consent, and accountability. The storyline has already sparked conversations far beyond the soap about the dangers of non-fatal strangulation, even when it is consensual, and about the lasting physical consequences that can follow. By refusing to paint Dylan as a simple villain or Betsy as a simple victim, the writers have created space for more nuanced discussion. Lauren's reaction, however understandable in the light of her past, risks oversimplifying a situation that resists easy moral judgments. As the week unfolds, viewers will see whether Lauren's apology is enough, whether Betsy can forgive the abandonment, and whether Carla's rage clears the air or creates new fractures. One thing feels certain: the Connor Swain household will not return to quiet domesticity anytime soon. The protective instincts that have defined Carla's recent arc are fully awake, and Lauren has discovered that walking away from Betsy carries a cost she may not have anticipated. This is Coronation Street at its most compelling, messy, emotional, and unwilling to offer tidy resolutions. It reminds us that the people we love most can also be the ones who hurt us deepest, and that standing by someone when they are vulnerable is often harder than it looks. Carla's explosion of rage is not just about one night of abandonment. It is about everything that family has been through, everything they have built, and everything they still stand to lose if the cracks are allowed to widen. What do you make of Lauren's decision to walk out? Do you think Carla is right to confront her so fiercely, or is there room for more understanding given Lauren's own history? And where do you see Betsy's recovery and these relationships heading in the months ahead? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you are following every twist on the street, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you never miss the latest updates, spoilers, and deep dives into the stories that keep us all talking. Weatherfield never stands still, and neither do we.
See you next time.